everyone, my name is Aeriel Leonard and I am an assistant professor at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. So I was a super nerd in high school. I competed in science fair competitions on the international level, super nerdy. So my project was looking at ductility in high strength aluminum alloys. And so went to graduate school at Michigan. I was working in magnesium alloys, and this was a particular mechanism that I wanted to understand. So I said to my PhD advisor, hey, I'm reading a lot of papers and people are going to synchrotron sources. Now I had no idea what a synchrotron source is. First of all, it sounded like something out of a Marvel film. So no idea, no expectations of what it was going to look like. He says, hey, I have a friend that's at the Cornell High Energy Synchrotron Source at Cornell University. He's agreed to, let you come in and sit on the experiment since you're interested in this. So I was like, oh, wow. So I look up chess, super excited about it, and I learned that the synchrotron is under a soccer field. And I'm like, are people gonna die? Is this safe? Is this okay? Like, what's going on? Long story short, went to the synchrotron at Cornell, sat in on an experiment, loved it, learned so much about the advantages of the synchrotron, the resources, just the cool experiments that they were doing, the things they had worked on previously. And at the end of the person whose experiment I was sitting in on, they said, hey, I have about a half a day I'm not gonna use, which is rare, so I was super excited. And if you want to use it, you can. So I brought my materials with me and I did my experiment, and I'm gonna tell you, I developed this entire experimental plan. I had no idea if it would work. I just developed it based off other people's experiments, based off the chess website and what their resources were, and it worked. So that was super exciting. One thing I've learned that's very valuable about chess, or just synchrotrons in general, is that you don't have to be an expert. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I would like to give in this video, is that you do not have to be an expert. Again, I told you, had no idea what it was, did not even understand. And I was able to learn from the beamline scientists, and what I've always enjoyed about chess as a facility is that it's very education focused. And so you can come in not an expert and leave with just a lot of expertise that's very valuable. I walked away from graduate school with an entire skill set that I didn't even know that I would get. As an assistant professor, I don't have a ton of free time. So besides my outreach, what I really like to do is I run a lifestyle blog called Aeriel Views. It is aimed at young professionals, particularly those that are in graduate school or professional school. And what I do is I share my experiences as an assistant professor, as a postdoc, as a graduate student. My hope is that by sharing my experiences and the things that I've learned, that I will be able to better someone else's experiences in graduate school and their early career. One thing, or piece of advice I would give my younger self for starting, is to be patient and be kind. I think I alluded to earlier that you don't have to walk into chess as an expert, or any synchrotron source as an expert. And I think for me, it was really intimidating because in many of the spaces that I operate in, I am the only person of color. I'm the only black person or brown person that's there. And so that can sometimes be very intimidating, especially when you're working with people who have been using this instrument for a long time and they do have a lot of expertise. Walk down, sit down. And so I think one of the good things about chess is that you don't have to be an expert. You can just be yourself, or whatever that is. And for me, I think a lot of it was I didn't use a lot of computational tools as a graduate student, or even as an undergrad. And so a lot of the data reduction and data analysis is computational. And so I felt, very intimidated, to be very honest. I was even in there, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. And what I loved about the beamline scientists at chess was that they understood and they meet you where you are. So wherever you are in your knowledge base, they're gonna meet you there and they're gonna bring you along. The synchrotron in itself, it's fun, it's exciting, but it can be frustrating at times because majority of the time your experiment will not work. Or you may get one, sample that worked out of 7 days. And so that 7 days is just full of anxiousness and frustration. And I think, be kind, be patient. You're not the only one. You're not the first one to have a week long of failed experiments. You won't be the last. I think that's the beauty in it, right? Is it humbles you very quickly, and it teaches you, if it's not working, we don't reinvent the wheel. We say, hey, why is it not working? And I think that's one of the beauties of doing this type of work, is that it makes you think very quickly on your feet. What really inspires me to continue in this work is, as I said earlier, I'm a Black woman in science and engineering, and here in the United States, I am a minority, and there's not a lot of people who look like me. And one of the values of the synchrotron source is that it's a very powerful tool that extends to so many different fields, so many different research areas. And, being able to share with groups of people at universities that may not necessarily be a majority, the power of the tool and how they can use it and how they can apply for beam time has been very helpful for me, and it's a part of my outreach.